What's that sound? It's For Amusement Only, the EM and Bingo Pinball Podcast.
Welcome back to For Amusement Only. This is Nick Baldridge. As promised, I wanted to talk with you about testing the scoring of your bingo without having to reset the machine state every single time. In the bingo, there exists several units that function together in order to help achieve scoring and also lock you out of re-scoring. So there are several things that you need to keep in mind. First of all, with the machine on, it's possible to stick your hand inside the fan that cools the motors, or touch something which has high voltage. There are only a few circuits in a bingo that have 120 volts, but they do exist. So be cautious when doing this. Most everything else runs off of 50 volts. 50 volts is nothing to sneeze at, but it's not 120 volts, so it is slightly better if you get shocked with 50 volts than it would be with 120. So, all that out of the way, you've lined up a winner, and you want to see if it scores correctly every single time. Going to the back of your game, you're going to want to do the following things. If your game is a later game, which is what I'm going to be focusing on, that has an R button or a C button that releases the search index magnet, which allows the search wipers to turn, then this knowledge will apply to you. On other machines, it's going to constantly turn, and so things work differently, and you don't have to worry about applying the same procedure. Also, the time tree works differently, or not at all, depending on the vintage of game. So, what you need to do is locate your timer unit. Your timer unit will automatically step up after a period of time to try to preserve the motor's useful life. And there's a step-up solenoid and then a reset solenoid. So you just push in the reset plunger and it will reset the timer back to its default 1 position, or 0, depending on if you're computer person or not. Aside from the timer, you also need to reset the scores, assuming that you've collected them. So in a bingo, there are units which count the number of replays for each color. Assuming you have triple deck scoring, which is also going to be a machine with a time tree and so forth, then you're going to want to locate the unit which counts those replays. There are going to be at least 3 of those units in any given bingo, and only one of them will have the reset solenoid available to plunge, assuming you didn't win in multiple colors. Push in that reset solenoid, and that'll tell the machine that you have not won in that particular color. Then you need to locate the anti-cheat relay. Depending on the machine, it's going to be in a different place. For example, in my ticker tape, it's on the back door. In almost every other bingo that I've ever worked on, it is the relay on the inside of the back box on the right at the top. And it's labeled anti-cheat. Push that in and it'll latch on. This will light the numbers on the bingo card and allow you to then push in the lock on the search wipers, which will allow the search wipers to rotate. Now, when they locate a winner, the search wipers are going to stop. And they stop because the search index coil actuates and it pushes up a metal plate into a gear which locks those wipers at those particular rivets. If that pulse is weak, then you have one set of things that you need to do. If it doesn't pulse at all, you've got a whole nother set of things to do. But from that point, the machine is going to count, assuming you've done those preceding things. Once it finishes counting, then you can turn the machine off and back on, which will dump the register. So you'll be back at 0 replays. Push in the timer, push in the anti-cheat relay, and push in the colored section numbers. And you will be able to then push in that metal latch again, and it'll score again, as if you hadn't scored the first time. Now, the only word of caution I have for this is if you're the type that leaves your reflex unit connected, which again is the auto portioning circuit in a bingo, it's going to step up like crazy, and you will have to insert an awful lot of coins or push a lot of buttons, depending on if you have free play set, in order to crank it back down to its normal, fully connected position. So, this is how I test any bingo that has scoring problems. It doesn't make sense to shoot a whole game and line up the winners and then have to redo that over and over and over again just because the machine goes into tilt when you first turn it back on. It does that to prevent you from doing exactly this, which is rescoring in a way that the machine didn't score previously. So, and as with many things, it's a fail-safe. It's not a good idea to have the machine boot up in an inconsistent state. So, assuming you turned it off because there was some kind of scoring problem, then when you turn it back on, the machine is not going to hold in using the search index relay, and therefore the search wipers will return to their default position. A good thing. So, that's all for tonight. Thank you again for joining me. My name again is Nick Baldridge. You can reach me at foramusementonlypodcast@gmail.com, and you can listen to us on iTunes, Stitcher, Pocket Casts, via RSS, on Facebook, on Twitter, and on our website, which is foramusementonly.libsyn.com. Thanks again for joining me, and I'll talk to you next time.